what makes the Bolton indictment so unusual in the Trump era is that it is so usual. The prosecution followed normal department channels without firings or without strong arm orders from the White House or forced transfers. Kelly O'Hayes, the U.S. attorney in Maryland, signed off on the charges in conjunction with the department's National Security Division. So this is an investigation that started under Joe Biden, and it's very usual. Hey, guess what, Kurt? John Bolton, the warmongering sociopath that was hated by America until he became the darling of CNN because he hated Trump. This guy is a cretin of the first order. And
he did laugh at all my jokes at one time, so I'm rooting for him.
So they indicted him for illegally having and sharing classified information.
Well, that's a crime now?
By the way, you have to admire somebody who carries their own luggage without wheels. I mean, it says a lot about a man. Nobody knows exactly what it says, but it definitely says a lot about a guy who still goes old school, no wheels on his luggage.
Old school mustache as well.
Oh, yeah. He was actually, John Bolton was created from a rough sketch by the Simpsons creator. I don't know if you know that.
Matt Groening.
Matt Groening, yeah.
I think he's got that prestigious hand grenade award from the State Department that they gave him as a joke gift that he is very proud of. But clearly, it was a joke. Anybody
remember that? Yes, I should.
Loudest fart trophy.
I wish I'd remember that. I'd have put it in this segment. But just real quick, what's going on? First of all, he's guilty. Just in case you don't know, he's guilty. He did it, and I think it's going to be hard for him to defend against this. The difference between him and Donald Trump, when they said Donald Trump took classified material, the FBI staged that crime scene when they raided Trump's house after he was president. First time they've ever raided a president's house. So that was a political prosecution, just like all the other prosecutions of Trump were, just like January 6th was political prosecutions, right?
Yeah, not because he's never done crimes, but they got to get him on crimes they're not completely guilty of.
That's right. So that was exactly. That's why it took them so long to impeach Trump the first time. They had to find a crime that they weren't also complicit in.
Didn't succeed, it looks like.
Didn't succeed. I mean, they did impeach him, but they didn't get the Senate to agree, so he didn't have to. So just real quick, and it's going to be really hard for him to defend himself against this because and unlike Trump, who was the president, who could unclassify anything he wanted. So the president can take any document that's classified and just go, it's unclassified now. Why? Because I'm the president and I said so. Because he's the top of the chain. He's supposed to be the top of the chain.
That's why they won't show him all the documents, because he can maybe do that.
That's right.
Why they have to have stuff above him.
That's right. So that's the big difference between that and this. Also, another big difference is the FBI staged the crime scene with Donald Trump. And it doesn't appear they did that with John Bolton. Of course, John Bolton, as you'll find out, hasn't even really denied he's done this. But here's the AI overview. Says on October 16th, former National Security Advisor John Bolton was indicted on charges related to unlawfully retaining and transmitting classified information, some of which was accessed by hackers believed to be associated with Iran.
What?
So that's another part people are missing on this, that Iran hacked into his computer where he had this stuff, and then he alerts the government that happened, but he doesn't tell them, hey, I had classified information on there. He didn't tell them that. So the indictment was announced by the Department of Justice following an investigation that began. When did this begin? It began in 2022.
Oh.
So it began during the Biden administration. The Biden administration opened up this investigation into John Bolton when John Bolton was a darling of the liberal class because he hated Trump. And that's why he's a darling on CNN. He's one of their favorite people. And just to let you know, this is what New York Times says about this. I want to show you this real quick before we move on. So I got this from watching our buddy Greenwald. Glenn Thrush from the New York Times says, what makes the Bolton indictment so unusual in the Trump era is that it is so usual. The prosecution followed normal department channels without firings or without strong arm orders from the White House or forced transfers. Kelly O'Hayes, the U.S. attorney in Maryland, signed off on the charges in conjunction with the department's National Security Division. So this is an investigation that started under Joe Biden, and it's very usual. There's no, you know how Trump recently, to get Comey, he had to get rid of the attorney general in the wherever it was, and then install another one, his personal lawyer. And so they had to do that kind of stuff. None of that stuff's happening here. This is all by the book, and because it appears pretty much he did this. After Bolton left office, his personal email account was hacked by a cyber actor believed to be linked to the Iranian government. This hack gave the foreign entity access to the classified information Bolton had emailed his relatives.
What?
So what Bolton was doing was there was a group chat. I'm going to show you in a second. There was a group chat between him, his daughter, and his wife.
And Michael Bolton, the saxophone guy?
Different guy. Oh. But they were actually trying to plan on writing a book. And so he was sharing classified information with his wife and his daughter who do not have security clearances. And he was putting it on his own computer, not a government computer, which is protected from hack, but his own private computer. So again, he's doing it in 10 different ways wrong.
You can't announce a citizen's clearance, Jimmy?
Right. The indictment also alleges that Bolton unlawfully retained physical and digital versions of these sensitive documents at his home in Maryland. Failure to report breach. According to the indictment, a representative for Bolton reported the hack to the government in 2021, but didn't disclose that the account contained classified information, which concealed the full extent of the security. So the guy is a creep. He's a warmongering sociopath, always wanting to slaughter people, always wanting to hang and kill people. And here's the interesting thing. People who did what he did, he's always advocated for them to be either hung from an oak tree, or
very specific.
He picked out a specific tree he wanted them hung from, or he wanted them in prison for 176 years. Let's listen to this. This is what he's talking.
What do you think of Bradley?
You remember when Chelsea Manning, then Bradley Manning, revealed to WikiLeaks the war crimes that America was committing? Now, nobody ever got in trouble for the war crimes that Bradley Manning, Chelsea Manning, and WikiLeaks revealed. Nobody got in trouble for those. They got in trouble for telling people that America was committing war crimes. So it's not a crime. So when telling people about a crime is the crime and not doing the crime, you know you're run by criminals. So the United States government is pretty much criminals. And so here's what John Bolton had to say about him when he revealed the war crimes that America had been doing.
What do you think of Bradley Manning?
I think he committed treason. I think he should be prosecuted to the fullest extent of the law.
What does that mean?
Well, treason is the only crime defined by our Constitution, and it says treason shall consist only of levying war against the United States or in adhering to their enemies, giving them aid and comfort. And he gave our enemies a lot of aid and comfort.
So what should happen to him?
Well, he should be prosecuted, and if he's found guilty, he should be punished to the fullest extent possible.
And what is that?
Death.
You think he should be killed?
Yes.
So, there you go. Boy, that talk about... has John Bolton heard about the new diet? That's the one where you get to eat your own words. Really slimming.
I'm going to tie a yellow ribbon around the old oak tree for John Bolton.
So he wanted that guy to be killed. So the guy who did what he just did is doing, accused of doing, which I'm pretty positive he did.
Can I just say, Jimmy, I have to give Hillary Clinton a lot of credit because she's just as crazy and killy as John Bolton, but she had the decency and loyalty to America to burn her hard drives with acid and have a guy killed.
John Bolton on the prison sentence he believes Julian Assange should get. You want to hear it? Here's what he thinks should happen to Julian Assange. Now, the thing that Glenn makes point here is that unlike Bolton, Assange isn't an American.
I know.
So
I was going to say.
he had no duties to maintain the secrecy of classified information because he's a foreign, he's not even an American.
They
So
were all saying that, Jimmy. All of them were saying that. The guy with the suspenders on Fox, he's a traitor. You know why they're saying traitor? Because they're loyal to the transatlantic partnership NATO shit. That's how they mean. They forget.
So unlike John Bolton, who had a responsibility to keep those government secrets, Julian Assange, as a journalist and an Australian, not even American, had no responsibility to do so. But here's what he wanted to happen to Julian Assange.
Prison.
Well, I think that's a small amount of the sentence he actually deserves. He's committed clear criminal activity. He's no more a journalist than the chair I'm sitting on. The information that he divulged did, in fact, put many people in jeopardy. It undercut the ability of the United States to have confidential diplomatic communications, not just with other foreign governments, but in many countries with dissidents, people who, even speaking to American diplomats, could find themselves in trouble. And so, he's been complaining about his treatment over the past period of time. He's the one who sought asylum in the Ecuadorian embassy. Now he faces extradition to the United States. I presume he will get due process in the United Kingdom to determine whether extradition should go forward. And when he gets to the United States, he'll get due process here. And I hope he gets at least 176 years in jail for what he did.
Well, boops. Whoopsie daisy. Boy, Bolton can't wait to treat Assange like he was a real American. And now here we are, Edward Snowden.
By the way, ironically, Jimmy, that chair he spoke of is a better journalist than Caitlin Collins.
It turns out. And here's Glenn Greenwald because Glenn Greenwald's very tightly intertwined with Edward Snowden. He says, ladies and gentlemen of the jury, here is the defendant Bolton in his own words on what ought to be done to people who leak American secrets. Here we go.
I think it's a big mistake. I have no idea. I mean, my view is that Snowden committed treason. He ought to be convicted of that, and then he ought to swing from a tall oak tree.
Oh, look, it's Malibu Kyle.
Who's this little chubby cherub in front of me?
Wasn't that something?
Look at those little virginal cheeks.
So he wanted Edward Snowden to swing from an oak tree. He even picked out the tree, the kind of tree he wanted him swinging from. So that's so I want to show you what they got. I want to go right to the indictment.
Doesn't Elon mean oak tree, Jimmy? That's how you say it in Hebrew.
So it's an 18-count indictment. So he sent classified information in a group chat to his wife and his daughter, unauthorized people, while he worked at the White House, and keeping similar documents at his home after he left the government. The 18-count indictment contends that Bolton regularly sent more than 1,000 pages of diary-like entries to two people related to him, it's his wife and his daughter, while he was handling the nation's most sensitive military intelligence and diplomatic matters. Many of the messages contained information designated as classified up to the top secret sensitive compartmented information level, prosecutors allege. Federal prosecutors in Maryland secured the indictment from a grand jury, which met for about 3 hours to consider the case. So it only took him 3 hours to say, yeah, indict that guy. Bolton, 76, served for more than a year as a national security advisor under Trump, but later drew Trump's ire. Yeah, I wonder why. The charges against Bolton come as Trump has pressured his Justice Department. Okay, so then they got to tell you all this other stuff about, he's pressuring it. It doesn't have anything to do with this case. This has nothing to do with this case. Letitia James Comey, has nothing to do with this case because this case was started by the Biden administration, as I already showed you, Glenn Thrush said in the New York Times.
Can you imagine being that disliked?
Attorney General Pam Bondi and FBI Director Cash Patel insisted Thursday that this one's here just blah, blah, blah. After the FBI searched Bolton's home and office in August, pursuant to court-issued warrants, Trump claimed to have no knowledge of it. Okay. He just said he was a bad guy. Trump says he was a bad guy. let's see, special counsel Robert Hur. So, because Biden did the same thing that they accused Trump of doing, and what Bolton did. Biden did the same thing. Biden had boxes of classified documents, which, by the way, he wasn't the president when he took those boxes. He was the vice president. So the vice president doesn't have the ability to declassify top secret stuff like Trump did. So again, it's not like Trump. Again, this isn't me. This is me showing you how the Justice Department has been politicized by the Democrats first, and now they pretend that never happened. Because Joe Biden did the exact same thing. Here it is. Special counsel Jack Smith charged Trump with amassing the highly sensitive secrets after his first term and then obstructed government efforts to reclaim them. The case against Bolton resembles in some ways the investigations of both Trump and Joe Biden for their possessing classified documents in their homes. But special counsel Robert Hur, great-grandson of Ben-Hur, declined to recommend charges against Biden. And you know why? He said a jury wouldn't convict Biden because Biden is demented.
That's treason to say that.
That was before everybody was saying Biden was demented. The guy who was in charge of prosecuting Biden over those classified documents said, I'm not going to prosecute him because the jury's going to say he doesn't even know what he's doing. He's a dumb old man who's demented. Despite tapping Bolton as a top, okay, blah, blah, blah. Okay, blah, blah. So in 2020, Bolton wanted to publish a book. But Trump's Department of Justice wanted to block that book because they said it had top secret information in it. The move to halt release of the book failed, but the judge who heard the request said Bolton had gambled with the national security of the United States by proceeding with publication of the book without the final sign-off from government authorities. The judge, who was a Reagan appointee, opined at the time that Bolton had likely published classified materials and could face criminal prosecution.
So they all don't like him. That's how I take this. They all don't like him. All sides of the aisle.
So each of the 18 felony counts carries a maximum penalty of 10 years.
That's almost about 176, 180.
Yep, and that's exactly
really
right. An
That'd
FBI
be great.
An FBI log of the search of Bolton's office described finding several trenches of records with classified markings, including some pertaining to weapons of mass destruction and military strikes in Syria.
How much is a tranche, Jimmy?
I don't know what a tranche, but a tranche.
Several tranches?
The indictment attempts to singe Bolton with his own words by quoting public commentary he offered in recent years, condemning officials involved in controversies over cavalier handling of sensitive information, include the investigation into Hillary Clinton's use of a private email server, and a more recent blow-up over Trump's administration's national security officials' use of Signal Chat to discuss planned military operations. So here, this is from the actual indictment. So I'll read it to you. After Bolton's time as National Security Advisor ended in 2019, Bolton's personal residence was not authorized to store classified information in physical or electronic format. On or about September 10th of 2019, U.S. government personnel retrieved all classified equipment and marked classified documents that were stored in Bolton's home. During that visit, Bolton was told that he could no longer store classified information at his home. At no point during Bolton's time as NSA advisor or afterwards, including when his home was decommissioned in or about September 2019, did Bolton tell the U.S. government personnel that he had sent national defense and classified information to individuals number 1 and 2, that's his wife and daughter, over commercial email and messaging services, or that such information was stored on personal electronic devices and in personal electronic accounts belonging to or accessible by himself and or his wife or daughter. So that's what he was doing. Let me get back to the rest of this because this is pretty interesting. So on or about April 8th in 2018, the day before Bolton officially began his duties as National Security Advisor, Individual 1, which is either his wife or his daughter, created a group chat with Bolton and his wife or daughter on a non-governmental messaging application. Now, that's important because if you're going to have classified information flying around, it's got to be on a governmental messaging service because that's encrypted and it's protected from hacking. Well, he didn't. They were doing it over private email, private messaging. Individual 2 asked the group, "Why are we using this now, the encryption?" To which Individual 1 responds, "Yup, why not?" Bolton then responded, "For diary in the future." So he was doing this so he could write a book. On or about April 22nd, 2018, Bolton sent Individuals 1 and 2, again, that's his wife and daughter, via the non-governmental messaging application, a 25-page document which describes information that Bolton learned while National Security Advisor. It's illegal. On or about April 22nd, 2018, Individual 2 sent Bolton and Individual 1 a message that stated, "Diary finished." Individual 1 also asked Individual 2 whether Individual 2 was going to call tonight, to which Individual 2 responded, "Am I supposed to?" Individual 1 then wrote, "Diaries take time to write, but phone conversations take less time."
That's true.
On or about July 15th, 2018, Individual 2 sent Bolton and Individual 1 a message that stated, "Do we get a diary today?" Individual 1 responded, "Don't think he can do it on this trip." Bolton later added, "Too much going on. I've done much on Friday in London because I didn't take many notes and wanted to get it down before I forgot." So this is him writing down classified information that he's going to then share with his wife and daughter on an unsecured messaging app. You can't do that. That's illegal. Even
Jimmy.
writing down the top classified information and then taking it home is illegal. You can't write it down and then take it home. You can't do that. That's
Well, you
illegal.
certainly can't put it in a book before you get it approved. I know that much. If you look at what I just texted you and Steph from Politico,
No.
everybody in Washington hates John Bolton from 2020. Why do they hate him? A day after excerpts from his bombshell new book emerged excoriating President Donald Trump, the former national security advisor has managed to turn everyone against him. Republicans say he's disgruntled, and Democrats, once buoyed by Bolton's turn against Trump, now say he's unpatriotic for documenting the claims in a book instead of testifying before Congress during Trump's impeachment. So that's why he don't have no friends. His little stupid book pissed off everyone.
On July 23rd, 2018, Bolton sent his wife and daughter a message that said, "More stuff coming." A few
That's
minutes
like when I send in the jokes.
A few minutes later, he sent them a 24-page document which described information that Bolton learned while National Security Advisor. Less than 3 hours later, he sent his wife and daughter a follow-up message that stated, "None of which we talk about." In response, his daughter sent a message that said, "Shh. Shh." That's this right there.
Yeah.
Individual 2, probably his wife, then sent a message that stated, "The only interesting thing is what senior U.S. government officials might have said from foreign language interpreter, which you didn't tell us." Approximately 2 minutes later, Individual 1 sent a message in response that stated, "More to come with Cloak and Dagger," or something, so he says.
It's all about Macron's wife's dick, I bet.
Yeah, I bet. On September 23rd, 2018, Bolton sent his wife and daughter a 10-page document which contained information that Bolton learned while National Security Advisor, including information classified up to the top secret SCI levels. He's sending this to his family.
I think it's heartwarming how close they are, though. I mean, nobody likes this guy, but he's not divorced, and his kids talk to him.
Here it is. There's more to this. At some point between when Bolton left government service in 2019 and July 2021, a cyber actor believed to be associated with the Islamic Republic of Iran, hacked his personal email account and gained unauthorized access to the classified and national defense information that Bolton was keeping in his account, which Bolton had previously emailed to his wife and daughter while he was the national security advisor. A representative for Bolton notified the U.S. government of the hack, but didn't tell the government that the account contained defense and national defense information, including classified information that Bolton had placed in the account from his time as an NSA advisor, national security advisor. Nor did Bolton's representative tell the U.S. government that Bolton had shared some of that national defense information, including classified information, with individuals 1 and 2, meaning that's his wife and kids. So that's what's actually happening. It's an innocent mistake, Kurt. Anybody can make that kind of mistake. He just forgot to turn his lanyard in. That's all. All top security figures have slipped up like this. Come on.
Look, any secret you tell me, I immediately call mother.
This is Caitlin Collins from CNN, who loves John Bolton now because he hates Trump.
AKA the chair.
Yeah. Here's John Bolton's official response to this. For 4 decades, I have devoted my life to America's foreign policy and national security. I would never compromise those goals. I tried to do that during my tenure in the first Trump administration, but resigned when it became impossible to do so. Donald Trump's retribution against me began then. Continued but what about when Joe Biden did it? What about when the Biden administration opened the investigation into your bullshit?
Because you wouldn't testify at the thing and you're writing that book and they're mad.
Donald Trump's retribution began then, continued when he unsuccessfully tried to block the publication of my book called The Room Where It Happened before the 2020 election, and became one of his rallying cries in his re-election campaign. But also, I just showed you the judge said that it's most likely he printed top secret stuff in that book. Now I have become the latest target in weaponizing the Justice Department to charge those he deems to be his enemies with charges that were declined before or distort the facts.
They're declined. They're continuing. What is she talking about?
My book was reviewed and approved by the appropriate experienced career clearance officials, not according to that judge who oversaw it. A judge appointed by Ronald Reagan said it wasn't. When my email was hacked in 2021, the FBI was made fully aware. They were not made fully aware that you had classified material in there and that you had shared that classified material over a non-governmental messaging app with your wife and daughter.
They're upset about it. It's like all they're talking about.
In 4 years of the prior administration after these reviews, no charges were ever filed. Then came Trump 2, who embodies what Joseph Stalin's head of secret police once said. You show me a man and I'll show you the crime. Okay. These charges are not just about his focus on my diaries, but his intensive effort to intimidate his opponents, to ensure that he alone determines. Talk about intimidating an opponent. They made up 4 bullshit felony cases against Donald Trump that he had to go to court and defend himself against. The normal real estate stuff. They indicted. They prosecuted all his lawyers. They put his political advisor, his first campaign manager, they put him in prison. They put Steve Bannon, his next political advisor, they put him in. They put everybody, Roger Stone, they put everybody around Trump, including Trump, tried to put him in prison. So this is not that everyone acts like, oh God, Trump is doing something different. He's following the norms that were started under the Biden administration and the Democratic Congress.
That's why it won't be as challenging as the Comey thing.
These are norms now, what Trump is doing. And remember what the guy at the New York Times says, there's nothing unusual about this. So
I really want to read his diary, Jimmy. I got to be honest, because I find it hilarious that he's a psychopath warmonger with a diary. And he's right. Dear diary, I think Trump is bad.
It is unfair when someone targets you for something you actually did.
I hate it.
He did it. He did this.
That's when it hurts the most, Jimmy, when I actually did it.
So Glenn Greenwald responds to this tweet by Caitlin Collins of John Bolton's statement. He says John Bolton spent his whole life demanding life imprisonment and even death penalty for anyone mishandling and causing a leak of classified information until he was charged with it, at which point he screamed abuse of power.
Held to the oak tree.
Yeah.
Held to the tall oak tree.
I like this. Leave It Legacy Media says, nowhere in that long dissertation does Bolton ever say he's innocent of the charges, because he's not.
What an oversight.
Because he's not innocent of the charges.
We forgot two important things: to run it by that you're publishing this book, and to mention that you didn't do the crime, so that, to help your prosecution for that crime.
And here he is trying to screw over Donald Trump for the same thing. It's actually not the same thing because, again, Trump was the president. He can declassify any document he wanted. And Trump's crime scene was staged by the FBI because it was a political persecution.
We'll see the qualifying language.
So here's what he said then. This is what he said back in June of 23. If Trump has anything like what the indictment alleges, then he has committed very serious crimes. The documents Trump retained could contain the most important secrets we have, directly impacting national security and the lives of security of our military and civilian population. That's what he said when it was Trump. But now it's him. He's a victim.
Now it's him. He's like, come on, it's just Macron's wife's dick. It's not that big a deal.
I like Anya Parampel has a great tweet. She says the John Bolton indictment would be a lot more exciting if the current Trump administration weren't running a version of his Venezuela policy on steroids. So John Bolton was the one who really wanted to overthrow Venezuela, and it was his policy to do so and install a puppet like Juan Guaido so we could then steal their oil. And she's saying it would be more exciting if Trump wasn't doing exactly what John Bolton wanted to do in the first place. It would be more exciting. But let's remember... Yeah. This is Michael Bolton.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And the funny part about this is that Mr. Bush used to refer to John Bolton as Michael Bolton.
Like in Office Space? Like in the movie Office Space?
Despite being a contemporary of Mr. Trump's, however, Mr. Bolton is not a member of his inner circle. He does not have the same relationship with Mr. Trump that he had with Mr. Bush. Sometimes with aides, the president refers to him as Mike Bolton. Oh, so apparently that's Trump used to do that. I got that mixed up, not George Bush, but Trump would refer to him as Mike Bolton.
Oh, it doesn't sound like a mistake. Well, he's referring to him as a much better Bolton, but for some reason, Michael Bolton, it's like an insult, even for a scumbag like John Bolton.
I like what this guy says about Bolton's mustache. He says the mustache alone should get him 10 years in federal prison.
Yeah, you're talking about Stalin while you have a Stalin mustache.
So the things that they probably aren't going to tell you on CNN, the things that people have overlooked, is that it's completely different from Trump's, but not different from Biden's. And they didn't prosecute Biden because he was demented. And by the way, he's probably going to get convicted on this because either you have a classified document or you don't. That's it. Either do you have the classified document that you're not supposed to have and you're not the president who can declassify anything he wants? Oh, you do have it? You're guilty. Did you share this with your wife and daughter? Something that is classified and it's illegal to share, especially over a non-governmental messaging app? Did you do that or not? If he did it, he's guilty. So there's very little wiggle room here. Either they found the documents at his house and he had it, or they didn't. And I'm pretty sure they wouldn't charge him if they didn't find it. So they found it. He did it. He's guilty. And then as somebody else pointed out, he hasn't denied that he did it. He just pretends that he's being politically persecuted. He cries victim.
The 2020 news is great because back then the Democrats were already after him. Politico saying everybody hates John Bolton is one of the funniest things after.
I know.
It's like,
and don't forget, there's nothing unusual about this. That's the part, I can't believe it got printed in the New York Times, but that's the part that everybody's going to overlook.
Tell the truth.
Everybody's going to miss that this was actually started under Joe Biden's administration and that there's nothing unusual about this.
Well, a court won't miss that, Jimmy. The dumbasses who watch CNN might miss it. But
Yes.
this is why you want to know, even if you love John Bolton and hate Trump and blah, 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 don't matter. Don't you want to know the actual details of the case so you're not emotionally blindsided every time one of these things doesn't pan out,
Right.
where the walls are closing in on Trump and then they don't, and you have a little hissy fit and take a lot of Tylenol?
Now you're normal. You're more normal than my friends in Hollywood who do not want to know the ins and outs of anything they talk about. They just want to repeat what they hear on the TV. You know, whatever the man on the TV tells them, like a real comedian would do. Just to repeat whatever the man on the TV says. Holy
Just do what
shit.
the guy on the TV tells you.
And that's why they don't know anything about COVID, the vaccine. They don't know how the lies about the deaths from COVID or the transmit. Nothing. They know nothing about anything. They don't know anything about the Ukraine war. They don't know anything about Syria. They don't know anything about Libya. They don't know anything about what's happening in Yemen. They don't know anything. They don't know anything
Even
about
Gaza,
this.
They don't want to know.
Because they don't want to know. They just want to hate Trump. And if you want to hear my jokes about this, I'll see you this Sunday in Irvine, California. We've added second shows in Australia, so if you couldn't get a ticket, go back. You can get one now in Australia, and we'll see you in Burbank at Flappers the day after Thanksgiving. Everybody's off that day. Then we'll see you in Pottstown, Pennsylvania, December 6th. We're coming to Hawaii, Waikiki, but our ticket link is not up yet. We're going to be at the Blue Note January 11th in Waikiki. Market volatility, rising debt, inflation, paper assets like stocks and bonds are more vulnerable than ever. That's why it might be time to consider moving a portion of your savings into something real, physical gold and silver. My friends at Monetary Gold specialize in helping people just like you create a customized game plan to protect their retirement. With an A+ rating from the Better Business Bureau since 2000 and the trust of more than 45,000 clients nationwide, they know how to make this process simple, secure, and tailored to your needs. When you call, they'll walk you through your options and answer your questions. No pressure, just real information. Ask how you might qualify to get your annual IRA fees covered for life. It's a special offer just for my friends. Reach out and speak with Monetary Gold Specialist today. Your financial future deserves more than hope. It deserves a strategy. October 19th, we'll be in Irvine, California. We'll be in Australia. Then we'll be in Burbank, California the day after Thanksgiving. And then Pottstown, Pennsylvania, December 6th. Go to jimmydore.com for a link for tickets.